dengan berbasis elektronik, meminimalkan peran manusia, intervensi manusia, mengedepankan teknologi dan pengawasan sistem. Ini memperkecil ruang itu. Saya tidak bilang menghilangkan, tapi memperkecil ruang ini.
The efforts align with the presidential regulation on the national strategy to prevent corruption. The strategy focuses on 3 priorities: simplifying and trade processes, improving financial management, and reforming law enforcement and bureaucracy. It serves as a guide for central and local governments to implement anti-corruption measures across Indonesia. Fabian Bawi and Lutfiavan for See Today.
Those were the top stories coming from Indonesia. We're taking a little breather. When we come back, we'll bring you some of the highlights from the world of sports. What are the highlights, Paul?
Thanks, Marissa. So, midweek action taking place in the world of football. Yes, Champions League is back. A huge one coming up as Atalanta, who are currently leaders in Serie A, will be taking on UCL giants Real Madrid in a very important matchup. As well, we have Aston Villa, who is preparing for their trip to take on RB Leipzig, also in the Champions League. Meanwhile, yesterday, Timnas Day, the men's national football team, off to a great start in the AFF tournament as they took down Myanmar 1-0 to put them in second place so far in the Group B standings. And as well, we have some news in regards to the Indonesian Weightlifting Federation, who have just sworn in their latest executives for the 2024-2028 term. All that and more when we return here on the C Morning Show. Stay tuned. Your Tuesday morning sports update is coming up next.
Di sini saya pikir, wah ternyata kami bisa merasa nyaman dengan hunian tradisional itu yang tidak perlu AC.
Sebenarnya karena kita di negara tropis gitu ya, maka rumah ini pasti otomatis harus arsitekturnya juga tropis gitu ya.
Fungsi hunian itu bagi saya adalah tempat kita ingin kembali, di mana di dalam rumah itu kita merasakan nyaman, merasakan bahagia, mungkin dari sekarang hingga sampai kita tua nanti.
We have the latest global economy and business trends.
U.S. Federal Reserve on Thursday slashed interest rates by 25 basis points.
And astute analyses from experts on the current economic dynamics.
We see right here the Dow Jones Industrial Average dropped to 159.
Tune in to See Today Business live at 12:30 p.m. every Monday to Thursday and at 1 p.m. on Fridays.
As the host of this year's summit, President of Brazil, President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva, closed the Group of 20 or G20 summit on Tuesday and handed over the presidency to South Africa.
Depois da presidência sul-africana, todos os países do G20 terão exercido pelo menos uma vez a liderança do grupo. Será um momento propício para avaliar o papel que desempenhamos até agora e como devemos atuar daqui.
At first glance, we see their face like a cat and their body like a bear. We will get to know more about bearcat or what we usually know as binturong.
Awal tertarik karena saya melihat bebeknya itu kok warnanya unik, lucu gitu. Kalau dilihat itu lucu banget gitu.
Kalau boleh saya bilang itu unggas tercantik di dunia, Mas. Karena dia ketika mekar, bulunya cantik sekali.
Good food, certainly good mood. For me, food is not just about taste, but also about the environment that influences it. I'm ready to dive into the ranks of street food. If you are a food lover who loves street food, I will take you on an adventure to find hidden treasures in the capital city of Indonesia. Only on Hungry Hour.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Christian Hansen. In this video, we will be exploring Are we ready, guys? Yeah! I have a new video coming up tonight, so I have to make sure everything is ready, but this has been a great trip.
Hey folks, welcome back. You're still with us here on the C Morning Show. It is 27 in the AM and time for your first Tuesday morning sports update. We're going to begin with some football news as midweek action is about to take place in the UEFA Champions League. And Atalanta trained on Monday at their base in Bergamo, Italy, ahead of their home clash against Real Madrid in the Champions League on Tuesday. Grabbing all 3 points will bring La Dea that much closer to the last 16. And they certainly have more reason to be confident after topping the Serie A standings following a decisive victory against Napoli recently. Meanwhile, Real Madrid must beat the Italian side if they would like to keep their qualification options open, as they currently sit 24th in the group phase with just 6 points. In past Champions League competitions, the 6th round of games would wrap up the group stage, and Madrid, the 15-time European champions, would typically be fielding some fringe players with a spot in the last 16 already tied up. This time around, they've lost 3 of their 5 games so far, and now face an Atalanta team that is one of the 3 sides yet to lose a match and has only conceded 1 goal so far. The club, which won the Europa League last season, was beaten 2-0 by Madrid in the UEFA Super Cup back in August, but is now among the 4 teams in Europe with 9 straight wins and no losses in 14 games across all competitions. Scrutiny on Kylian Mbappe has increased as of late after 2 penalty misses in losses to Liverpool in the Champions League and Athletic Bilbao in the Spanish League, but he scored what could be a confidence-boosting goal in a win over Girona on Saturday.
Sí, partido exigente, muy exigente. El Atalanta lo está haciendo muy bien. Creo que ha mejorado mucho comparándolo con el partido que hemos jugado en la Supercopa. Tiene una buena dinámica, entusiasmo, han ganado muchos partidos. Entonces, sí, un rival que compite muy bien y nada, tenemos la oportunidad para sumar puntos, para intentarnos aprovechar de estos 3 partidos para calificar. Vinicius está bien, hay que evaluarlo. Creo que para él es muy importante el entrenamiento, las sensaciones que tienes en el entrenamiento de hoy. A igual lo de Rodrigo. Bellingham está bien, ha recuperado totalmente. Los únicos 2 dudas son Rodrigo y Vinicius. Se entrenarán hoy con el equipo y después tomaremos la decisión.
Bit of an understatement to say that Real Madrid are struggling at the moment, not just in La Liga, but in European action as well. As mentioned, picking up 6 points in 5 matches, sitting in 24th spot, while in stark contrast, Atalanta are up in 5th, boasting 11 points from their first 5 games. Atalanta are undoubtedly one of the finest teams in European football at this moment, and La Dea will enter this contest on the back of 9 straight wins across all competitions, sitting at the summit of Italy's top flight, boasting 34 points from their first 15 matches. Gianpiero Gasperini's side have also been impressive in the Champions League this season, picking up all 11 points from their 5 matches, courtesy of a record of 3 wins and 2 losses, which has left them 5th on the table. Atalanta are the reigning Europa League champions, as mentioned, but they look capable of making a serious impression in the Champions League this season, and a lot will be learned from the league phase, with a glamour clash against Barcelona also to come on January the 29th. Meanwhile, Los Blancos are only just clinging on to a playoff spot in the European Cup, and they have 3 more matches to come in the league phase of the competition, tackling Red Bull Salzburg and Brest in their last 2 after this one. Real Madrid have won 12, drawn 8, and lost 18 of their previous 38 away matches against Italian clubs in Europe, but they have been victorious in 17 of their last 19 games across Italian opposition all across the board. Los Blancos are actually on an 8-game winning run away to Italian teams, and they're the kings of this competition, winning a 15th European Cup against Borussia Dortmund at Wembley earlier this year. They have qualified for the knockout round of the Champions League in each of their last 28 campaigns, so it would be one of the biggest shocks in league history if they were unable to navigate their spot into the next stage of the competition, which is the round of 16. And in other Champions League news, Aston Villa has finalized their preparations ahead of traveling to Germany to face their opponents in the Champions League with RB Leipzig on Tuesday. Villa are currently hovering outside the top 8 in the table, which would see them secure an automatic place in the last 16. Hosts RB Leipzig are third from the bottom in the 36-team group, with their chances of reaching the playoff unlikely after losing all 5 of their group stage matches. So after making a scintillating start to their first Champions League campaign, winning 3 times without conceding a single goal, Aston Villa have added only 1 more point from their last 2 fixtures in Europe's top competition. Since being held to a goalless draw by Juventus last month, the Birmingham club have brought an end to a worrying 8-game winless run across all competitions, recently posting consecutive home wins against Brentford and Southampton in the Premier League. And having climbed back to the top half of the Premier League table, Gareth Emery's men will now head to Germany, knowing that even a draw will surely wrap up a playoff place for them in the Champions League. Now, by contrast, Leipzig are staring at an early exit in after losing all 5 of their first 5 fixtures. Therefore, only victory will do if they are to have any even slim hopes of progressing to the knockout rounds. 4 of those defeats came by a slender 1-goal margin against tough opponents in Atletico Madrid, Juventus, Liverpool, and AC Milan during a dismal 6-game winless streak for them throughout November. Ending up empty-handed against Villa would see the Saxony side record their longest losing run in the Champions League and the longest by any German club since 2003, when Bayer Leverkusen suffered 7 straight losses. Champions League woes aside, Leipzig have actually lost just 3 of their last 27 domestic matches while winning 17. However, those defeats have all come during the last 5 league games, so manager Marco Rose is still under pressure to disprove his doubters. We'll bring you the results of all the Champions League action on tomorrow morning's program. In the meantime, in other football news, the Indonesian national football team won 1-0 against Myanmar in their opening match of the 2024 ASEAN Championship at the Tuwuna Stadium in Yangon last night. Asnawi Mangkualam scored the only goal in the second half during the 76th minute. Myanmar's counterattack was stopped by Indonesia's solid defense throughout, which was led by Muhammad Ferrari. And now, having garnered 3 points in their first match, Indonesia sits in second place in Group D, tied with Vietnam on wins, but trailing on goal difference. Meanwhile, Myanmar is at the bottom of the group, in 4th place with no points. And next up for Indonesia, they will be facing Laos on December the 12th, while Myanmar will take on the Philippines. More AFF Cup 2024 results as action took place with 2 Group A matches yesterday. Cambodia drew 2-2 with Malaysia, while Thailand destroyed Timor-Leste 10-0. In the first match from Group A, Malaysia took the lead with Stuart Wilkins' goal in the 35th minute at the Olympic Stadium in Phnom Penh, Cambodia. However, Cambodia briefly surged ahead through Abdelkader Coulibaly's goal in the 52nd minute, followed by Sati's goal in the 60th minute. Harimau Malaya escaped defeat when Fergus Tierney equalized in the 74th minute. Now, meanwhile, in the other match in Group A, Thailand secured a dominant 10-0 victory over Timor-Leste at the Hang Dai Stadium in Hanoi, Vietnam. 4 different Thai players scored braces in this match. They were Ben Davis, Supanat Muanta, Seskan Ratre, and Tirasak Poepinamai. This result now puts Thailand at the top of Group A with 3 points and a huge goal difference, while Timor-Leste sits at the bottom of the group. And let's now move on to other sports news in regards to Indonesia, as Indonesia's National Sports Committee has sworn in the executives of the Weightlifting Federation, PAPSI, for the 2024-2028 term. Rosan Ruslani again assumes chairmanship for a 3rd time, with ambitions for further Olympic gold and the development of young talents. Apart from Rosan, who was elected through unanimous consent, several other key figures remain on the board, including Secretary General Joko Pramono and Talent Development Chief Hadi Wiharja. In response to the remarks from the National Sports Committee Chair Marciano Norman, Rosan pledged to bring home more medals from the 2028 Olympics and to promote the nurturing of new athletes. Under the previous leadership, Indonesia saw its first ever Olympic weightlifting gold. In addition, the recent National Sports Week also saw 19 record-breaking efforts by PAPSI's athletes.
Kami sudah membuat program bagaimana prestasi yang memang sudah baik ini terus kita tingkatkan di semua level, dan tentunya termasuk puncaknya nanti di Olimpiade di Los Angeles di tahun 2028. Tetapi yang paling penting adalah bagaimana kita terus melakukan regenerasi daripada atlet-atlet muda kita.
All right, that last update wraps up our sports segment for now. We'll have more sports for you, including a very special talk show with a couple of members of the women's national football team that just brought home the AFF Cup trophy. And before we take our next break here, I just want to send a quick reminder to all of you. And in case you haven't already done so, please do follow us on our social media accounts. We're on Instagram, X, and YouTube at CToday News. Coming up next after the break, we will have Marissa and Shanaz back to share with you the latest from the world of entertainment. Stay tuned.
Sudah dipastikan itu belum ada pengobatan yang bisa mengobati DM1. Pernah berpikir untuk mengakhiri hidup aku sendiri karena waktu itu aku merasa sendiri, sama sekali nggak ada yang bisa aku ajak bicara.
Pada saat yang bersamaan aku sama papa konsumsi sebuah suplemen dan papa waktu itu mulai drop beberapa kali masuk ke rumah sakit. Vitiligo ini sebenarnya bukan kulit yang perlu disembuhkan, tapi mentalnya yang perlu dikuatkan.
What's happening now?
President Prabowo Subianto and Vice President Gibran Rakabuming Raka that took their oaths of office at the Parliament building earlier today.
Exclusive interviews and all the